often put it this way. In order for us to be in the state that we're in today as people, we have to be out of our minds. We literally have to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be crazy. It is necessary for us to be backwards. It is necessary for us to be maladjusted. It is necessary for us to be disunited. It is necessary for us to be self-hating. It is necessary for us to be filled with an inferiority complex. In a world where the European is essentially about 10% of the world's population, if that 10% is to continue to rule over the other 90%, it must keep that 90% out of its mind. It must keep that 90% in a state of deception. It must keep...
Good afternoon, everybody. This is your man, Brian Williams, coming at you again. I have an esteemed guest, my personal cousin, Veautry Vaughan. As we do every time we come on here, we talk about life, we talk about history, and we talk about what's going on what's ever on one of my guests' mind. It's a pleasure of mine because, as you guys know, I want to interview all our elders so we can understand what's went on, so we can know what's going on, so we can know where we're going. And the beautiful part of this is I connected with my cousin Veautry Vaughan through Ancestry.com. So this is a pleasure for both of us. Thank you for tuning in. Please, as you know, hit the like, hit the share, tell a friend to tune in. It's important that you do so. Thank you for coming in. And thank you to my guest, Veautry Vaughan. Thank you, cousin. Nice to meet you and nice to have you on the program. How are you?
At the moment, I'm doing the best I can do right now, you know. So
yes.
I'm glad to be on here because, you know, God always works in mysterious ways. And so God sure sent you my way, just like I told you earlier, you know. So it's a blessing to be on here, that Brian.
It's a blessing to have you on here.
Yes.
This, like, as you asked me earlier, is this my job or is this my passion? This is my passion. This is something that I've been working towards doing for quite some time. I've had over 50 people on the program, but I want to continue to interview people who are my elders because, as I say on my program all the time, I mentioned that I want people who can educate me as well as the viewers, because we can learn from you and then we can spread it to the younger people and so forth and so on. One of my slogans on my program is, I want to educate my great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren with the people who educated me. And you're here to do that. And thank you again.
Well, I'm going to do my best there, Brian.
I know you're going to do it. You're going to knock it out the park. I know you're going to knock it out the park. And as I ask every one of my guests, what's your oldest and most fond memory?
My oldest fond memory was maybe when my auntie came to visit us at home.
Okay.
She cooked me some grits.
Okay.
And I had never stopped letting that lady cook me any grits. Because she could cook. So that's my fondest first memory I can remember. But, you know, it's a lot of great ones, you know, because I really had an interesting childhood. And so, you know, I was an adventurous boy, you know.
Okay.
And so my daddy, you know, by him, well, I don't know how to take this, but, you know, if I could go through the whole scheme, then I could do that. But, you know,
let's do it. I told you I have time. I don't have to be working till 11 p.m. tomorrow.
I heard that. Well, anyway, you know, by my parents both being sharecroppers in their early life and stuff like that, we were always around a lot of land that we could play and have fun because they had to work and, you know, stuff like that. And then after they came to Mobile, they still went back up there to help out doing cropping and, you know, and planting and, you know, different things you had to do to prepare for it, and so all we had to do was play. And so you know, the older kids that wasn't big enough to go out in the field, they kept the younger kids together, you know, like the Davis and stuff like that. They were responsible for all them. And but we always had fun. We knew where all the fruit trees and stuff was, blackberries, blueberries, you know, we just knew where everything was. And then our granddaddy grew the best watermelons you ever want to slap in your mouth.
Oh,
I'm telling you.
that's my favorite fruit right there.
Man, my daddy could grow some. But the watermelon, you wouldn't taste of Brian, you wouldn't taste a watermelon taste so sweet. Yeah, see, we could get us one every day during the season and take them there to the creek and sit them in the water and let them sit in there overnight. And then we get that one out the next day and eat that one. But we put another one in its place, you know.
Oh,
we
yeah.
rotated our fruit like that. Whatever we picked, we always brought it to the creek, put it in that creek and let it stay overnight. And so we had lunch and all this during the day and have fun. Well, we just, you know, had a good life as that goes. But to get on to a lighter stage, education was, you know, it was segregated during that time. Black went to black school, white went with the white school, and never the two twain. And then I'm gonna tell you this from the start. And I didn't find this out until later on in life, that blacks was 3 grades behind them in books. The new edition, we got the old edition. So they kept 3 years behind, if you see what I'm saying. And so, you know, we started off different from them, you know. We didn't have preschool and pre-K and all this kind of stuff. But we had peoples that cared about their kids, you know, in church, in the schools too, you know. They sort of nurtured these, you know, blacks in the sense of the words, to get them to learn before they got to school. They should know they certain things like ABCs and how to count to certain numbers, you know. But you know, it just was a struggle in that sense, because you had to stay in your place. Like the Mardi Gras I was telling you about, we had to stand behind the peoples at the Mardi Gras parade.
Oh, wow.
We couldn't stand in front of them. We had to stand behind them, even if they came up there last.
Wow.
And you see, if you had a good spot, you don't want to give up your good spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you want all the candy and moon pies and cracker jacks and other trinkets that they be throwing. You wanted to load up. Hold on.
Take your time.
Yeah. Hey, Pumpkin, let me call you back. I'm on the podcast right now with someone. All right. I'm sorry, that Brian.
No problem. That's life. That's life.
Yeah. But anyway, you know, we just had to, you know, they had to struggle back there because of the whites. And but we, like I said, we had our own community. And we had everything we really need except finances to do better, you know, better and better. But you lived a life that was a black life. It might have been a high-class black life. You still had high-class blacks, you know, but they weren't mixed with them, you know, the other whites. You know, they couldn't get over there. Even the money they had, they could still go over there.
Okay.
So we had to, you know, then ride the bus, you know. standing behind the line, and all the seats in front of you is empty.
Wow.
On the train. And you go to a game, at the football stadium or something, you got to stand in line behind them, even if they come up there last.
Mm.
That kind of stuff that they enforce, And then when we started getting more educated, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
then we got to get bolder, in other words, because, I got money, but I can't spend it,
Right.
Why have something you can't use?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, anyway, that's how integration in the restaurants and different stuff started, and,
Mm-hmm.
sit-ins and stuff. And it was, rough.
You mentioned you mentioned that your parents moved to Mobile. Where were you originally from?
Well, Dallas County in Alabama.
Okay, okay,
It was called Orville. That's where my father was from. Orville.
okay, okay,
Yeah, Orville, Alabama. And my mama was from Beatrice. They lived in a little suburb called Chestnut.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But that's where they grew up. She grew
Okay.
up at. Yeah. But that's
Did,
in Monroe County in Alabama.
okay. Did they ever talk about life during those times with you guys, or like my generation, where the parents and the grandparents, they didn't really talk about the past a lot. They kind of
Yeah.
kept it from you. They didn't want you to be scared of anything. They didn't want you to slow down. So did your grandparents and parents ever talk about the old days?
Oh yeah, they did, because my I want to say great, great, great. She was about she was about she was about 106 when she died.
Oh wow,
But she came over from Africa. And
wow.
she tell us she died when I was about 5 or somewhere along in there, but
Okay,
6 somewhere along in there. But she told us a lot of stories.
okay.
But most of the stuff she told us, was to keep us in line and stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But she would tell us about where she didn't elaborate on where she came from too much, I don't think,
Oh wow.
because I don't know where it hurted her, from my mind now, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
where it hurted her to talk about how they brought her over or anything like that, but or where she was born at. I don't know whether it was her parents that came over on the
Mm-hmm.
ship or something like that, or she was born here in slavery.
Oh
But
wow.
she was born, she was 106 years old. So I'm 79. So you can say take 6 years from that. That's a lot of years.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
and see, that's the thing that annoys me about people today. They talk about, well, slavery was so long ago. Here you are, 2 years older than my mother, and you had spoken with someone. You spent time with someone who was actually enslaved, who lived
Mhm.
106 years. That means in 1840 she was born. So
Somewhere.
you're right. She could have been either brought here or brought up in that madness. But you said she's
Yeah.
from the continent, so she was brought here,
Yeah.
which is scary. If nothing else, it's just extremely scary to realize that you can reach out and touch somebody who could reach out and touch somebody who's been through that.
Yeah. You see, my cousins, they could probably tell you more because see, like older cousins that still living, they could fill that gap in because Man, you didn't want to go by the graveyard at night. Nothing like that. You be so scared to walk past there. Because you gonna
I'm
see a
sure.
ghost.
Hey, I'm scared now. I don't fool around over there now. So it's only and then it's super dark. You know, it's lit up now. So.
God don't deal in ghosts.
Oh yeah,
He deal in spirit. You don't see a spirit, but you see
yeah,
a ghost.
yeah,
Now
yeah,
he don't see you going through a tree that's a ghost. That's
yeah.
not a spirit. But you ain't gonna see a spirit.
Man, that's amazing. That I didn't even think I would have that portion of the conversation. Someone who actually had a conversation with someone who was enslaved, and then they were openly telling you about what was some of the things that they would tell you to watch out for. Because I can remember elders in my life. I'm like, I remember an elder in my life. She was suffering from dementia, and she, every once in a while she'd fade in, fade out, and she'd go, "Hey, Brian, don't go down south. Don't trust the white folks." And then she'd go back to being mellow. And then, but every once in a while, she'll snap in and tell me something about white folks and watch out for them. And you can't trust them over here and over there. And she was from Mississippi, so I didn't know what she was talking about, but I did pay attention. And you could tell, she was very mellow. She was very calm. But every once in a while, her mind would come back and she'd be like, hey, watch out for this. So what kind of things were your grandmother telling you about?
Well, she didn't, like I said, she didn't never tell me nothing like that. But I know my mama's dad. He told me about that. He done something for this white man, and the white man said that he didn't do it right or something like that. But anyway, he kicked my granddad. They beat my granddad up over him not doing it right or something like that. And they kicked him in his private area. And my granddad had a knot down there in his private area for the rest of his life behind from a lie, or something like that. And they caught him going home one night and beat him up. I have a witness hanging. But one of my church members' son, I want to say it was in the early 80s. Michael Dawn, you ever heard of Michael Dawn?
No, I never heard of him.
Yeah, he got hung. He was the last person to get hung here in Mobile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
In the early 80s, that's my life. It depends on the year. I'm between 10 and 14 years old.
Yeah, this was I want to say it was in the 80s. They, they found them hanging from a tree one night over there downtown area. But the kid wasn't doing nothing but walking home from the store, from getting his mama. I think he went to the store for some reason for his mama. Because, back then you could walk, but they came in the area that the blacks stay. And said they was lost and they wanted to know a way how to get home. That's where I heard, through the trial and everything. But they snatched that boy up and took him and beat him and all this kind of stuff, and then hung him over there in the tree.
And this is the 80s.
That was in the 80s. I think I'm not exactly sure right now, but I could find out. All you got to do is Google up Michael Dawn in Mobile, and you probably could come up with it. Last hanging in Mobile, put it that way.
Okay. I'm going to do that right now while we talking. Now, when you talk about things like this, let's go back to when you were younger. When you talk about things like this now, the way they tell it to us, the way they want us to believe, because I read this book called We Shoot Back, and they talked about black folks that wasn't playing those games.
Yeah.
And but how was it living? Was this always on your mind, or just something that happened and then it just was brought to your attention? Yeah, it was 1981. Michael Donald, March 21st, 1981. He was
Yeah.
19 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. And his mother went to our church.
Oh, wow. See, I
Yeah.
never knew anything about that. I'm going to look into this.
Yeah. You know, a lot of history people don't know, you know, because I was about 6 years old when Emma Tillman got killed.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
you know, beat up and everything. And you know, my mama wouldn't want me to go nowhere by myself. She didn't
Mm,
want me to talk to no white person, but you
mm,
know,
mm.
respect them, you know, because I had a little rebellious mouth back then too, you know, because I didn't think I should say yes sir to somebody that I didn't respect.
Right.
Because you know, I said yes sir to my daddy because I respect him, you know.
Right.
But if you wrong, you just still wrong to me, and that's where I was taught.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so you
So
know,
when you talk about the rebellious spirit, do you think that was a commonplace, or was it just some of the young men that just, it sound like you, even at a young age, you were fed up with the foolishness? Was that common? Was you and your friends that you talked to, that y'all talk about those kinds of things? What kind of conversations did y'all have? Because I've never spoken with someone from that era that actually wanted to talk. Like I tell you, I'm in Chicago. People in Chicago don't want to talk about anything from their past. Everything is like a secret. And
oh
and
yeah,
and and
they
I
don't
always
want to
wonder
know
what was
where
the
they
mentality.
came from. Huh? Yeah, no, we always wanted, you know, our teachers just instilled into us. We had, you know, teachers that loved you and stuff like that, and the principles and stuff. They stress you doing what's right, and then like a lot of them during the war, the World War II,
Uh-huh.
a lot of them came back, you know, could go to college and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because before then, blacks couldn't afford to go to college necessarily unless you had good parents that could send you there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
then they had this GI Bill, whereas you could, you know, get when you go to college with. And back then, going to a HBC was, you know, it was all right. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
can make it at HBC with that money and have something to live off of too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's what I went to. I went to college on the same thing
Okay.
because, yeah, because I fooled around and messed up in the 6th grade and flunked.
Okay.
And so my sister and I ended up in the same grade. And so I just had to go in the service to make sure she could go to college too, you know.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, you know, we always tried, you
Mm-hmm.
know, to do better.
Okay.
Because when we first got to high school,
Mm-hmm.
our principal told us, so what you're going to be now, you are now becoming.
Oh.
And said, I want you to strive for that. And a good portion of our class graduated. You
Okay.
know, yeah, a good portion of them. You know, up in the 90% portion of better. You know, and in fact, we have a senator, I mean not a senator, but a representative in the legislature in Congress, Sanford Bishop. I don't know whether
Okay.
you heard him. Yeah, Sanford Bishop is one of my classmates.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And see,
Yeah.
that's the sad part. I have friends. I got a friend who's in the FBI. You remember the FBI and the CIA. He done worked with both of them, even the DIA. And we've strived for great things, but it seems like we don't want our people in our community don't strive for those kinds of things. They're looking for a job, but they're not looking for the best possible job. They're willing to settle for a job. And it seems like in your generation, everything was about achieving the utmost or the highest you can go. And even like me and you talked about the president a few minutes ago before we started. Now this clown don't even want black folks in the military. He announced that today. He don't want to recruit black folks anymore. And it's,
yeah, he just don't know nothing about life. You know, he just want a dream. And that dream is to end all black folks right. That's all he after. Him and his clones.
Yeah, man. It's a sad commentary that like I've been saying it on my program for a year. I was like, y'all think they're trying to take us back to the 1960s. They trying to take us back to the 1860s.
That's right, all the way back. All the way back. Because if they had done what the Constitution said back there in what was it, 1865?
Yes, sir.
If they had done what they was supposed to done, everything would be hunky-dory probably. We'd be getting on and everything. But see, my folks' land was taken from them, but you know, from the carpetbaggers. By them not knowing anything, they wasn't educated, and they put that X. You know, that's all it was, an X. Anybody could have that X. And swindle my folks out of their land. And so thereby they had to live. And so end up sharecropping. You know what sharecropping is?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But you can explain it to the people if they don't know. Please do. Oh, yeah. And explain the X too. Explain the X and sharecropping, please.
Well, the X was their name. Witness by him. That you know, the white man, in the sense of the word. You didn't have a witness because it would have been an X too, probably. Because you didn't know how to read or write. You get what I'm saying? Because you coming just out of slavery. And so if you weren't lucky enough to be around where you could learn something, and see, that's how the teachers used to, you know, they used to get in wagons and everything to go out in the community trying to teach kids how to read and write so they can understand and teach their parents how to, you know, pass it on up. Because I had to pass it on up with my parents. You know what I'm saying? Because they couldn't read the newspaper like I could read it to them. You know, and then they could ask me words that I understood to a point so they could understand it.
You see, I'm familiar with that because you and my dad are the same age. Y'all cousins and y'all the same age. My dad taught my grandfather George Williams how to read because he had an X, and that's why I'm familiar with it. I'm familiar with the X because of that. Because even on Ancestry, when I looked up my grandfather, it said X, and it had, you know, what I would say is very good handwriting. If your name, if your mark is an X, you are not gonna have very good handwriting because you don't know how to write. So it said X George Williams. So I'm very familiar with that X.
Yeah. But they you know, they always had a way to get over. You know, and that sharecropping was like they got a lot of land and they got houses on this land, and they'll give you so much land to cultivate and produce off of it. But you got this land on a 50-50 basis. And you see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And they got your supplies and everything for you and stuff like this. And what you planted with and stuff, you know, all that supplies they got for you. But they kept the books.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Because
sir.
you don't know how to add and subtract or nothing.
Mm.
All you know how to do is put your X there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the year, who you think came out ahead?
Every time.
It won 50-50, and you lucky if you got 25.
I've heard stories about my great grandmother. My father is John. My grandparents are Mattie Mae Liggins, born Mattie Mae Liggins, then married George Williams, and her mother is Hattie Mae Turner. I heard stories of her living off what is considered 17 cents per year due to sharecropping. And somehow, some way, she was still able to purchase land.
Mm-hmm. But see, black knew how to save. And see, you know, just like when the slaves came over, I'm gonna take you back a minute.
Okay, I'm
Like
listening.
when they brought slaves over here to America,
Mm-hmm.
slaves didn't know nothing about the language,
Mm-hmm.
the customs, or anything like that, did they? They came over here dumb, sure enough, then. But they was
Mm-hmm.
dumb to this land.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And so they still knew how to survive.
Exactly.
And so you know about chitlins,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
feet,
Mm-hmm.
pig
Mm-hmm.
tail,
Mm-hmm.
neck bone,
Yes, sir.
chicken feet,
Mm-hmm.
chicken necks.
Yes, sir.
White folks back then thought that was the guts and all this was not good. You know, that wasn't part of their menu.
Mm-hmm.
Who you think they gave it to?
Yes.
They gave us that guts and all this kind of stuff. But they thought they were hurting us.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what now? Chitlin, chicken feet, all this stuff is so high now you can't even afford it somewhere else.
Yeah.
What else?
Look, they got fancy and changed the name from chitlins to tripe. You gonna
You
give it a
know what
fancy name.
Yeah, but they thought they was hurting us though, buddy. So we learned how to survive. We already knew how to grow vegetables and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, so but you know, we had to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever, you know, like whenever we raised hogs, they raised hogs and cows and all this kind of stuff. But like I said, we weren't getting 50%. And so you know, you had to, you know, but what I'm saying, that was our stuff still, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So
Yes,
they
sir.
wasn't hurt necessary because we still were gonna eat. But
That's all you need is time and food.
yeah,
You'll make it happen.
yeah, we knew how to make it happen, you know. And so you always try to save. If you was gonna be right, you gonna always try to save.
Mm-hmm.
But
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. You all right. Don't worry about that. You all right. So as you get older, let's say like you start coming of age in the 50s. How were the 50s for you?
well, the 50 was all I can say. We love sport, you know, and stuff like that. You know, things to do. We love to dance because learning all them new dances, even though we had to wait 6 months to a year to get the records y'all got the next day up in Chicago and Philadelphia and play, you know. It'd be 6 months old when they get down here.
Yeah,
but
I can remember some stuff like that here in Chicago. For music, even from New York to Chicago. So I'm very familiar with that.
you know, But you know about the children's circus, don't you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, Mobile was the last the last spot on the children's circuit. It was just like if you didn't make it on that line, on the children's circuit, you weren't gonna make your record, wasn't gonna sell.
Mm.
And so all the good bands and different places came to Mobile.
Okay. Who's some
Mm.
of your favorites?
Oh man, all
Mm-hmm.
the old fellas, Sam Cooke, they used to come, Aretha Franklin, Buddy Miles, all of them, anyone you can name back there in that era came to Mobile.
Okay.
But I was too young to see some of them,
Mm-hmm.
but after say after integration,
Mm-hmm.
things started to change then, because it was more mixing
Mm-hmm.
and everything then. But up until then, you had that chilling circuit. It worked out. But they
Okay.
was like almost killed all the big timers and stuff like that come through, to make it. Cause they could get a different venue. Then they could go out there where they mix with the whites.
Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Now I see that you went to the Navy, and you said you had to go to the Navy to help your sister get through school. I know when I turned about 16, they moved the age up to 18. How young were you when you enrolled?
Well, I got my parents to sign for me when I was 17 to
Mm-hmm.
join the reserve because I knew that I had to go a different route than to go to college
Mm-hmm.
right off. And
Okay.
so I joined the reserve a year before I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I graduated, then I went active.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the reason for that. And then after I got out, then I went to school like I had told myself I was going to do. But it was always a dream it was always a dream to go to college. It's just that I messed up in the 6th grade.
Okay.
And believe me, I still missed that 6th grade
Oh
because I
my.
didn't learn anything. And when I got that, well, I really didn't learn nothing in the 5th grade because I had a teacher that let you do whatever you wanted. Plus, she was a nice, pretty lady that drank. And back
Okay.
then, all you had to do was be pretty in the sense of the word. You could get a job as a teacher if you got a little education.
Mm-hmm.
But she just thought she was doing us the wrong favor. And so
Mm-hmm.
back then, I was a little adventurous boy too, and I loved to hunt and fish and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I used to bring my daddy's gun to the school and hide them back there in the woods and stuff like that. And me and my buddies would sneak out the window and go hunt during the daytime,
Mm.
during while we were supposed to be in school. And so it caught up with me that 6th grade. I didn't know nothing.
Oh wow.
I didn't know nothing. I didn't know how to spell words that I should have known how to spell. And I had all A's up until then. Well,
Mm.
they called it S's back then. We had S's and I's back then. And so I didn't know nothing. But it was my fault.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't flunk again, But my I just didn't couldn't apply myself like I really should have because I just had to help out, with my
Mm-hmm.
parents, stuff like that, help them with certain things. And so I just got me a paper route.
Okay.
And so that put into my study, but I could still, maintain a good, good enough grade, but I wasn't getting one that gonna get me a scholarship,
Okay. Okay.
But that's what happened.
Oh, when you always wanted to go to college. So what did you want to be when you got older? What was your point of study? Some people want to be lawyers, doctors, whatever. What was your interest?
Well, I wanted to be a agricultural engineer.
Oh,
And because I wanted to be a farmer.
okay.
I really enjoyed that, I just like to watch things grow, and I like the animals and all that, and so I just wanted to be, carried a little further where I could make a living out of it,
Wow.
But,
So what ultimately what did you study? Or did you go that route, or after you left the Navy?
Huh?
After you left the Navy, did you go that route? Did you go to agricultural sciences?
Well, the only thing about it, when I was in the Navy, all I did was play. I didn't study. You know what I mean? I had never seen so many pretty girls in my life, and you know what a sailor is like,
Yeah, my dad was a sailor.
Okay, yeah, well, I tried to make sure a port didn't leave me nothing untold about it. And so I did not study. And when I got to college and took that entrance exam, and they found out that I wasn't proficient in English and I wasn't proficient in math. So
Okay.
that means if I wanted to go to college, I gotta go to remedial English and remedial math.
Okay.
And guess what? They had came up with new math. I had never heard that 2 and 2 wasn't 4. Or
Okay.
3 and 2 was 5, I ain't know about no X's and O's and all this kind of stuff. So I had to learn that. And so I had to spend a whole semester getting up to date.
Okay.
But that I found out I wasn't as smart as I should have been, and so I gave up on that part. But I decided I wanted to be an industrial art teacher. You know what that is?
Talk to me. Let me educate
Well,
me.
back then it was like preparing people for, to do manual labor like plumbing and welding and different
Oh,
things
okay.
like that. But you did it on a teaching basis, and you
Okay.
can explain it and all this to it. Like in class, you had it was class in my time was called industrial, shop,
Mm-hmm.
home ec and stuff like that,
Yep.
And so those things you learn that anybody could do. And so that's what it was, just being able to prepare people to do something that they don't have to go and work for nobody else, really.
Mm-hmm.
Carpentry.
Mm-hmm.
It was all involved. But I got off into that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I found out after I went to do my student teaching in Decatur, Alabama,
Okay.
the #1 redneck state in the Clan City in Mobile, Alabama.
Wow.
And see, it was right outside of Huntsville. You know anything about Alabama A&M?
Yes, I'm very familiar with Alabama A&M.
Well, Huntsville is about 30 miles from Decatur.
Mm-hmm.
And then all you got all around Huntsville was racist town.
Wow.
But anyway, when we had to do our student teaching, and they had just integrated really, and you had to do your student teaching at these white schools. And so I had to do mine at Decatur High.
Mm.
And so in that shop, it's dangerous. You just can't do anything in the shop because you're messing around with saws and, all kind of equipment that, you know, you can hurt yourself real bad. And so one day I saw a kid was over there in the saw messing with that saw, and he gonna ram this piece of wood into the saw. And I knew that saw was gonna shoot that wood right back at him. And I threw an eraser at him and hit him. And he wanted to tell me that that he was gonna tell his daddy. Tell his daddy on me for throwing that eraser at him. I said, boy, don't you know that you could have killed yourself if that wood had came out there and shot you? But luckily they didn't do nothing about it. But that taught me that I couldn't mess around with them white kids. And so I sort of changed profession.
Okay.
And I was, by me working at McDonald's, that I had gotten all the way up to assistant manager.
Okay.
And so the guy that I worked for, he was trying to buy some restaurants in Nashville. And he asked me that if I wanted to go up there and work with one of them, you know, I wasn't gonna be the manager, but I would have been, you know, in my same position. And so he was gonna be more money, you know. And so I said, that's good. And so that's how I got into restaurant business with Crystal.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you were at the beginning of Crystals. Talk to me about the beginning of Crystals, because see, in the North, as a matter of fact, I've only seen one Crystals in the state of Illinois. It is in the south suburb called Calumet City, the only one that I've ever seen in the state of Illinois. So they're not really here in Illinois. For the people who don't know what Crystals are, please explain to them what Crystals are.
Okay. Well, anyway, I was still working with McDonald's, and it was right across the street from the Crystal. And so one day I was riding to work, and I saw this sign in front of their place and hiring for black, you know, hiring minority managers. And I said, And see, I had been talking to my boss about a raise anyway, you know, because I thought I had, you know, more than adequately, you know, performed. And so I thought I deserved a raise. But I wasn't gonna quit now. I don't think I was gonna quit. But anyway, I saw this sign over there, so I was just curious, really. And I went on over there and put in the application. And lo and behold, they was hiring black managers. And so they gave me the application. And so shoot, it was just like a breeze, you know, because it's all what I was doing as a manager with McDonald's. And so they called me, I filled out the application and I got home. And it wasn't too long because there wasn't no cell phone back then now. But anyway, they called me when I got home good and asked me if I wanted to come in for an interview. I said, yeah, because I was still off the next day. And so I said, that'd be cool. And I came over and they interviewed me and everything. And so the man said, well, he said, would you be interested in a position with Crystal? And he quoted them prices that I would be starting off at. I said, when can I start? He said, whenever you want to. I said, well, I tell you what. I said, my other manager, you know, my other boss, the owner, you know what I'm saying? I said, he been good to me. I know he's me quitting and starting here. I said, can I get the whole month off? Because I wanted to come back to Mobile and let my mom and dad and them know what had happened, you know? And so that's what he did. He told me I could start in a month. That's what started my career with them.
Okay, so how was that? Because now you want, if they hiring new minority managers, you had to get some pushback from the other folks that were there. How did that work?
Well, I always believe in training, and I always believe in respect. I'm gonna give you all the training that I'm supposed to give you and tell you how I'm wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this meeting with them proud, you know, when the area manager introduced me to them
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and told me that this was his manager, you know, your new boss. Well, store manager, as the saying go. And so we was all in this, you know, in the restaurant area, because it was a nice sized restaurant, you know, up there. It wasn't nothing like the small ones down here in the South,
Mm-hmm.
but it was nice size. And I think I had about 75 total employees. And about 75, about 62 or 3, somewhere like that was white.
Mm.
I was in a white area.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
It sounds like it. What year was this?
They never had a black, you know, boss in that area.
Mm-hmm. I'm
So
sure.
I had to tell, yeah. I
What
had
year
to
was
tell
this?
them, what'd you say?
What year was this?
It was in 73.
Okay. Okay.
Might have been 72. I have to, you know, it just but it had to be in 73 when I started with Crystal.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was in a white area. But I just talked to them and told them that I was gonna be their boss, you know. And you can, you know, all I'm gonna do is go by the books, whatever the Crystal manual said, and because they had to learn, you know, they had to go through that manual anyway before they got hired.
Mm-hmm.
To know what they had to do and what, you know, and because everybody was supposed to say yes, sir, no, sir, thank you, ma'am, and all this kind of stuff. You know, it was polite back then. You had to be polite
Mm-hmm.
and say, all I wanted you to do is do your job. And so we're going to get along. And we did, you know.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, we made a great improvement. And even back then, it was $1 million store. And
Mm.
that's a lot of hamburgers to be selling at 10 cents and breakfasts and stuff like that. That's all we sold, you know. And you could eat for $1.25. You could eat real good.
So, okay, talk to me about the 70s, because, you know, we always hear about the 50s and the 60s. Nobody really talks about the 70s. Talk to me about the 70s. How was it? Because that's when I got here, 1970.
Well, for blacks, it was a good time, tell you the
Okay.
truth, though. You gained a lot of more clout, you know.
Okay.
You was able to do more things. You was able to live wherever you wanted, especially down south, you know, because we had black area across the tracks and all this kind of stuff down here then, you know, and you didn't come either way unless you had business. And you know, you can move where you want to, live where you want to, as long as you had the money to get there. And you know, you had to go through some hardships and getting loans necessarily because they want to always stick you with the greatest interest and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff. But you did have an opportunity to do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly here in Mobile, black banks started, well, a couple of black banks popped up, and so that made things a little better. But you know, after blacks started doing good, then things got good, you know.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you know what? The black banks, they all but gone now. But well, did a lot of black people flock to those banks, or were, because you know, I read in history, black people didn't really trust banks, and as a matter of fact, that's one of the reasons they were able to save the company Cadillac, because they had a lot of money in their hand versus having money in the bank. So were people trusting black banks, or was this just a slow progression?
Well, like I said, a lot of, the fortunate blacks, got together so they could fund this for a while until it started growing and stuff, but it was a growing process that I know. And, you had to get people's trust, because a lot of them was still taking their money to to the white banks and stuff like that because of things they could offer them. But slowly it changed and they got the trust. So one of our biggest banker was Commonwealth in Mobile, and they Gary Cooper was a real, well, he was a general, really first black general to mean the first black officer in the Marine Corps to have his own combat unit. Meaning to lead a combat unit into a battle in the Vietnam War. Yeah, and so he was a general when he retired. But he opened up a bank, him and his wife and stuff, and so it was all right.
Like, okay, I want to go back a couple years because I didn't know when you were talking about Christmas, you were talking about the 70s. I want to go back a few years. How was life as we see the rising of people like Evers, Dr. King, Malcolm X, and you were right in the middle of that. What was life like during that, and what were people saying and thinking about guys situations like the murder of Medgar Evers, Dr. King coming from Alabama or living in Alabama, and then you got Malcolm X in New York and in LA and here in Chicago. What was life like, or what was it like seeing those figures from a younger person's perspective?
Well, each one of them had a different view, and so it really was how you channel your view, and like I wasn't necessarily a Dr. King, but I wasn't no Black Panther either.
Right.
But and by me going in the service during that time, I had been in service. I didn't think nobody should be hitting on me and sicking dogs and stuff like that on me. And I was gonna fight, I was gonna hurt somebody, because I was taught to hurt somebody back there during that day, And so I couldn't take that side, but I didn't like the violent side either, on the like the Black Panthers, they wanted to, said like really didn't want to take no jump, they weren't gonna get slapped around, they were gonna battle. But I didn't want to go that way because that was just wasn't in my nature. But we had some good leaders, but all of them had their good points, Yeah, all of them had their good points. And all of them got together eventually. Yeah, all of them came together because they had a cause. We just couldn't let them keep on stepping on us, even though we might look at it a different way. We still had to have come together. And see, that's what we need to do now. We got to come together. Too far apart in too many different ways.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up. You mentioned that everybody was like, hey, we got to, you got two different sides. You got a nonviolent side, and you got a side that's saying, if you put your hands on me, you're going to have a problem with that. I got a problem with you putting your hands on me. So this ultimately brought everybody together. It unified people. When do you think people started to separate because at some point, I'm not old enough, you know, this is during my youth, people start to separate. What point? Because, you know, like you said, you got two sides in the 60s, and then, like you said, in the 70s, we start realizing, re-realizing how powerful we are. And then at some point, we start separating again. What are your thoughts on that? And when do you think it start happening?
Well, I'm sort of lost a little bit on what you're looking for.
Like,
But
okay, when do you think people start separating again? Maybe
you talking about
another
black
word.
and white, black
Yeah,
and
no,
white?
black folks.
When black folks started separating,
Mm-hmm.
well, it was when when they started doing that. I imagine you want to say they have to say it like that, you know, because then you know you round the whites more, you know, you gaining more white friends, you know, even though they were still hiding their racism and stuff, but they had to be polite, especially in jobs and stuff like that. And see, there's a story behind that when I quit Crystal, you know. But you
can I have
know,
that story, please?
huh?
Can you tell me that story, please?
Well, it's more personal in the sense of the word, you know, because the reason I really quit Crystal was because I had my first wife. My first wife left me with my kids while I was in Nashville, and I had to come back to. I had to come to Mobile to have support with my kids, you know.
Okay.
And by Crystal having stores here in Mobile, they had an opening. And so when that opening came up, I took it because I could come home so I could have help with my kids, you know, because they was like 2 or 3 years old, something like that. But I had to, you know, I couldn't do it by myself and manage that store. Because like I said, that store did over $1 million a year. And but
That's
anyway,
a lot of burden.
yeah, it was. But the thing about it is, when I just store down here, only made 200,000 a year. But I still got my same bonuses, and I still got my same salary, so it didn't hurt me anything. You know, I still maintain my financial growth, and then it was cheaper down here too. Yeah, and so, but I just had a racist area manager that didn't want me to go around him. By, you know, me being in that affirmative action process, you know, where you gotta get blacks in position to hire for higher management, you know, that means you had to step around a lot of people, you know, on your way up. And so some of the white managers just couldn't take it like that, you know, because they might have had a little more time. Well, they did have more time than me with the company, you know, but I still would have went round just as long as I knew what I was doing. And all I was there was like to get trained for that position. Yeah, but my area manager was just racist, and he was giving me trouble. And then I acted nut and had let my first wife come back because my kids wanted their mama. And so I gave her a second chance. But that second chance was just like the first. So my dad said, boy, he said, that love don't exist like that. And so that's when I made up my mind to leave her alone, you know. But the only thing about it then, she got the kids. you know. That's the
Wow.
only thing I hate. She got the kids.
That's
They
tough.
won't live. Yeah, it was real tough, man. You know that is you want to see your kids grow up right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, She just she just used my kids against me, you know. And so, but like I
Yeah.
said, it's a personal story. That's the reason I quit Crystal because I couldn't handle
Okay.
the pressure. I couldn't handle the pressure at home,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't handle the pressure from him setting me up to do things. And see, I had to write on that roster
Mm-hmm.
because I always kept stuff in carbon copy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And see, I had when I first came down to that store, it was
Mm-hmm.
losing money. And so I didn't have that problem up there. I
Mm-hmm.
was always in the good.
Mm-hmm.
But when I came down there, it was losing money. And so if you didn't get your act together, you didn't get all your bonuses. And
Right.
see, I'm used to getting my 7 bonuses a month, you know. And I wasn't getting but 2 and 3, you know. And so I had to, find out what was happening to my money, And so I saw that they were letting, at that time they had counters, and them counters, each one of them was on that counter. You had about 3 different people working on that counter, but all of them had a different register.
Mm-hmm.
Get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
all of them kept their own tickets on what who they waited on and everything. But them guys were getting up and when they catch them going in the back or turning their back or something, they was getting up and leaving out. And so that means they either had to let it go or not tell me, but they couldn't tell me necessarily, they were just letting them do it anyway, some of them. But I saw that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I told the area manager that I see why you're losing money because people's getting up and walking out. But you got 4 registers here when you only need 1. Let them come in the door and pay and then sit down at the counter.
Mm-hmm.
You got your money. But he said that wasn't the policy for us to do something like that. And that I would have to get the company to to approve it.
Sign off on that.
Yeah, sign off on it. And so he said, well, how I do that? So he told me to just write up my proposal and give it to him, and he'll turn it in to them, to his boss. Because he
Mm-hmm.
had a boss too. And it was supposed to go on up to the top. They thought it was a good proposal. Each one of them had to approve off on it. And see,
Mm-hmm.
he was losing money, and he wanted that extra because he was losing the same thing I was losing, because he was getting bonuses too.
Yeah.
So 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 he didn't care because if something happened, who's gonna take the fault? Me. So I didn't know all this though. But like I said, I wrote the proposal up in a carbon copy, and I kept it in my drawer.
Mm-hmm.
But I had the ups on him because he had one time I went on vacation, and when I came back, the peoples in the store had ripped him out,
Mm-hmm.
because I was gone. They didn't like him anyway. And so any chance they had it to stick it to him, but see, they didn't know that he was sticking it to me too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so they didn't know it was falling back with him. And so when I get back off of vacation, he said, Mr. Vaughan, he said, you work in the community around here going, because I was going around the schools talking and get kids to work part-time and stuff like that to make up the difference, you know, with the other labor. And so he said, you can just increase your you know, mission and, you know, help out with the other stores too. And let me, you know, I'll do your inventory. All you got to do is take it and bring it up to the office and
Okay.
we'll run it out for you. But this rascal had came up about $3,000 or $4,000 short. And he had bought some Coke drinks. He bought up about I want to say 30 some tanks of drinks, you know, the liquid part.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes, sir.
The syrup, yeah. He had bought up those. But see, he had them in my storeroom. And so every time I counted the Cokes, you know, I never did order any or anything like that because he was trying to bleed them out of there. And so finally I said, hey, Mr. Brackett, I see where our shortage is. I said, we got, you know, all these Cokes cans back here. I said, what back here, you know? Because I was putting out the correct amount, but see, he was changing it on the sheet to make it look good. But I checked it, double checked it one day, what I did. Because I saw what he had wrote up and everything. And I went back and checked it, double checked, and saw that he had been cheating. And so he had to get rid of me in the sense of the word. And so that same proposal that I had asked him to send on up the line, here come the peoples into the store one day and they saw what was going on, but they didn't call me into the office with them so I can explain what happened or ask him why he didn't get it approved or anything. He kept me away from their conversation. And so he came out after they left and said, Mr. Vaughan, said, you got to go back to the old way. I said, what? I said, why? They don't like the approve. I said, we make it, you know, I brought them out the black to the red, you know. I mean, you know, whichever.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Red to black, red to black.
And you're going to tell me they want me to go back. And so he said, you got 2 weeks. 2 weeks to change it back. After that, I'm going to ask for your resignation. But my thing was, I should have inquired further, you know, right then on why they turned my, you know, something that making them money too, you know. More money. But I acted a fool and turned my keys in after that 2 weeks. Told them I quit and threw my keys on the desk and forgot to get all my paperwork that I had accumulated in my desk drawer out. And when I got back, got sense enough to think, no, I ain't got my, you know, and went back there to get my paperwork and stuff. Everything that wasn't important, like my, you know, personal stuff or something like that, pictures and stuff, none of my records was there. And so I lost that chance of, you know, keeping my job.
So what you end up doing after that?
Well,
and what year was that? What year was this? And then what you do? What was the next step?
Well, it took me a whole year to figure out that I wasn't gonna get a job and quit a job, making the same amount that I was making with the same, you know, prestige. and stuff like that. So I had to go to hard work hard way until my daddy said, son, say a half a loaf of bread is better than none. You know what that means?
Yes, indeed. My grandmama used to say, am beat now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He said a half a loaf of bread is better than none. So I had to come back off my high horses. I tried to look for a job like the same one I had, in the sense the same one with the experience that I had, but I couldn't get them to sign off on nothing like that, you know. And, so finally, I broke down and got a job at Ingalls Shipyard. Lord knows, that was the worst job I ever had in my life. Because after being a boss, and you go to a place where you got people that cuss you out and tell you dummy and won't explain nothing or train you right, you know. And you be trying to tell them they wrong. And when, you know, I couldn't, you know, they couldn't get to see the point, because why you tell me something to do? I couldn't tell them that I used to be a manager and stuff like that, because I had to tell a lie to get the job in the first place. Seriously.
Yeah.
I'm talking about it, because I had to put on my application to get the job at Ingalls that I worked at a company in Cleveland, Ohio, which I did when I was in college. I had worked in another place because I got a better job, you know, a little more money. But I had to come home because I had family problems. And so I had to come back home. And so, you know, I'm looking for a job. Them was the only two things I put on there. Both of them was lie, because I couldn't put down there I had a college education. I couldn't put down there I worked at Crystal.
Wow.
Navy. The only thing I had on there was I was in the Navy and worked them other two jobs. And so they hired me because I did paint, you know, I was a bosun mate in the Navy. And so we kept up the ship. And so I knew about painting. But man, that was that was the longest year I spent in my life.
Trust me,
And
I know.
Yeah. And see, I had put applications in some of the big companies around here, but they kept throwing my application into the manager category and telling me they weren't hiring. You know, just because I was black, really, I think, you know, because they saw my education, they might have figured that I need a good job or something, you know. But they kept throwing my application. Each time I put in an application, they put it in the management and tell me they not hiring in management right now. So the next time they put in an application, you know, had an openings. I got that same resume that I took to English to get that job and gave it to them.
Okay.
And so they let me took the test. And when they let me took the test, well, they found out that I had a good IQ in maintenance. And see, by me working, going to school as you know, to be a industrial art teacher, I had learned a lot of skills. And so I knew where them gears and all this stuff went. And so they asked me if I wanted to be in the maintenance.
Okay.
I said, what's maintenance? Because I didn't know what they were talking about, really, because I had been a pusher all my life, you know. Only time I knew about maintenance was them gears that I used to draw and different things. And so they told me that, well, you go out there and work in the mill for about a little while and see which one of them crafts you want to be in. I said, okay. I can do that because I was still getting paid. And that's what the main thing was. I was trying to get me a good job.
Yeah.
Best job
Gotta
in
eat.
my bed. And so I went out there, and you know, by being the lowest man on the totem pole, that vacation people's gonna always take them good days. And some of the time I had to come off of one shift and go on to another shift to start a new shift. And then, you know, stuff like that. And so I had to do that for about 6 weeks one time. I wasn't getting no off days in a row, or I couldn't make no plans and stuff like that. I said, that lady told me that I could come back up there and, and let her know what I wanted to do. I'm gonna say I'm going over there because I had talked to all the people out there in the mill and stuff like that, you know, telling them that I was just out here, you know, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And man, you ain't getting in no maintenance. I've been out here 25 years and I ain't in there, and so you ain't getting there either. I said, that lady told me that. I said, well, I'm going over there anyway. And so I went on over there one day after I got off on midnight, and she told me, said, Veautry, what took you so long? She said, you could have came back the next day if you figured out you wanted to be in that crowd or something. I said, oh, Lord, it's been almost 4 months out here in this, working all these hard shifts. And so I got into maintenance.
Okay.
And, yeah. But then, you know, you had to go through some more trials and tribulation because I'm one of 5 blacks that's in maintenance. And
Hey,
some of them went to school to be in the maintenance and stuff like that. And so they had to hire them because, like I said, you know, blacks had to move. They had to hire blacks there. And they was qualified, but I was in the apprentice. I had to start off in the apprentice program.
mm-hmm.
But I learned a lot though. And I didn't think I could be a mechanic per se, but hey man, I enjoyed it and still do.
Okay, let me ask you a question. What did the guy who told you weren't gonna never get into that, what did he say once you got in?
I just said I didn't rub it in or
Oh,
anything.
okay.
He knew that I had my pouch on, and I was doing the same thing as the white people was doing, you know. And I made more money than he was making, you know. And you know, I got about a $3 raise just by coming out of production into maintenance, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just at the beginning rate.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was satisfied. That was enough for me, you know. I ain't never been a gloater anyway, you know, because you can see it and you can believe it then. Yeah.
And you know what? When you know it's good, everybody else knows. You ain't gotta tell it.
No, you ain't gotta say nothing. Cause I stayed clean, you know. I was off on Saturdays and Sundays. I got holidays. I got the off time I wanted, you know.
Okay.
So hey, I'm good. I ain't got to worry about shift work. You know?
Okay. What year was this?
I started there in '77.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and I worked there 17 years until I got in a little trouble, and I didn't want to go through the piss testing and nothing like that. So I didn't try to keep my job because I could have kept my job, but I said I wanted to work for myself anyway. So
Okay. Okay.
that's when I just told my daddy that I wanted to work for myself when I got out. And so that's what I did. And that was the best decision I ever made, you know, because I got to spend the last part of his good life with him, you know,
Oh, that's good.
doing everything he wanted to do.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what was that? What business you go into after that?
Peddling.
Oh, okay.
I sold seafood all over the United States. Where somebody I knew, I would get them to hook me up with some customers, because all I had to do was put the seafood in their mouth and they'll buy,
Mm.
Because Gulf Coast seafood, you can't beat it, And so I got my sons together, and they worked with me, to clean it and different stuff, and I package it up,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go to New York, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Detroit.
Had to be
I
here in
just
Chicago if
travel
it get up to Milwaukee. Yeah.
all.
I see you had to have it here in Chicago if it get up to Milwaukee.
Yeah. I had a good ride up there because I had a brother-in-law that stayed in Milwaukee.
Okay.
And I had some. One of my sons had a auntie that lived in Chicago, and then
Okay.
I had folks that lived there in Chicago.
Okay.
And so I had a good routine. I make me out about 2 trips a month.
Mm-hmm.
It's all depending on how much I want to sell,
Mm-hmm.
and then I buy stuff from up there and bring it back down here and sell it, because a lot of clothes and stuff and different stuff that you couldn't get down here. I got it, and that if I thought I could sell it, I would buy it. And so I
Mm-hmm.
made a two-way trip, bring
Mm-hmm.
something up there and bring something back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so I did that for the shoot up until I got it sick, really.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that people talk about is how the 80s, it was like, it's almost a dark cloud over the 80s, the drugs, the violence. From a person from your generation, how did it look? Because I was right in the middle of it. That's when I was coming of age. And the world, I didn't see the world the way y'all saw it. How did you guys see it?
What you talking about, that crack?
Crack, the guns, the violence.
Oh, yeah.
People,
Well, see,
people wasting away.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Well, see, I'm a number one pothead. I'm gonna put it that way.
Hey.
And I never saw anything wrong with it because God put it here from the start anyway.
Hey.
And so in the 80s, I think that's when that crack hit down here in Mobile.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's when a lot of things started changing, when that crack got on the market. And see, it tore up families and everything, people stealing from the folks, and I saw people lose their doctors and lawyers and all this kind of stuff, lose jobs because they got off on that crack. And, they were so addicted. And so that's when I really saw a change coming about, was when that crack hit the market. Long as people were smoking weed, and some other stuff, that wasn't so powerful. But see, the white folks know how to put something out there that make you go crazy.
Yes, indeed.
And then they gave it to us to sell it.
Us to sell it, us to use it.
We thought we coming up, and it would break them down. And they could never understand that. And so that's when things started changing.
I remember this one group called X Clan. It was pro-black, and they called crack white kryptonite.
Yeah. That crack was devastating. Still is.
Yeah, people think it's gone, but it's not.
But see, the oldest thing about it, though, Brian, it done created a different breed of kids.
Yes.
Man, them crack babies is terrible. And then they, family wasn't as separated as they are now. But when that crack hit the market, you didn't want to be around them crackheads, you know?
Right.
And then their kids was in that mix, and it just keep on going. And
Yeah.
see, those that was born from that crack, 'cause they just got this mentality that's just gangsterous, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
all these guns and stuff, you know, gun. Like I told you, I went to hunt behind the school with my daddy's shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
All I had to do was make sure he ain't catch me, because he didn't mind me hunting, but he wanted me to hunt when we was, you know, when it was, you know, not at school.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't
Mm-hmm.
mind if I walked down there after, you know, after we came home. And I said, Dad, I want to go back down there in the woods, you know. He said, okay, you know. But
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can't do
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. With the music and the movies and the lies told on the news and the drugs, that's what really ruined these children. Because
Yeah, that
I
gangster.
personally, yeah, I personally believe when you know you got parents in jail, parents in rehab, parents struck out, and
Yeah.
these kids just running wild, and then those children had children, and
Oh
that's what
yeah.
we're looking at right now. I believe.
Oh definitely. And we can't seem to break that cycle.
Mm-mm.
Cause them crack babies just you can't, some of them you ain't gonna straighten out, I guess, you know, because they don't seek help to get, you know, because going to jail, you know, that little while I was in jail,
Mm.
I saw something. I'm so glad I was 45 years old when I went to jail, because I didn't go along with nothing that I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't have a Bible in your hand and said, come on, let's go sit down and study the Bible or something, or let's go shoot some pool or something that, you know, simple. You ain't gonna need to go behind there and do something I know is illegal. Mm-mm. Then they was ignorant. And see, that's another thing these prison systems need to
Mm.
straighten up real quick, because them kids in there, a lot of them don't even, they just might as well mark their X, you know?
Mm.
That's all they need to do. And see, they give them a test when they come, when they went in, when I went into jail,
Mm-hmm.
they gave me a test,
Mm-hmm.
a psychological test, to
Mm.
see what my mindset was.
Mm-hmm.
They got questions on there like, will you kill your mama? Will you rape your sister? Will you
Mm.
slap your daddy? You know, and someone with that X just go down there, mark an X.
Yeah.
Don't read, don't know what to read, and don't know what they're doing, because every time you take a test, you're supposed to glance at that test to see what's about, and then you
Mm-hmm.
take off on it, you know.
Right.
But they
Right.
would do
Right.
that marking X to get on out of there.
Mm.
Get they get sent to these maximum security prison. Why? Because they done said that they're gonna kill their mama. They're gonna
Right.
rape their sister, you know, stuff like that on there.
Mm.
And that was basically what it was, to see where your mindset was. And so that's how they determine on where they send them kids to.
Mm.
And and see, by them not having an education in the first place, that's where they end up. And then when you get into where all them hardened criminals are,
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
a 16-year-old, what you think gonna happen? Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
16
Yeah.
year old, you gonna be a girl the next week. That's all to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got hungry in there, and those that got connection to get canned and stuff like that. and you can't get nothing because your mom and dad are mad at you and they won't send you no money so you can buy stuff. And it's easy for them to get to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they take advantage of them old rotten, taking advantage of them kids, you know, because
Mm-hmm. And see,
they're
you know, I study stuff like that, and I never knew about that. I never knew that you had. They would give you an aptitude test to get in prison, and then, like you say, they not really paying attention. They just trying to get over with it, and then they probably thinking it's funny.
Yeah, they do.
They thinking
brag on it. They brag on it. Yeah, they brag on it. And the kids, some of these kids coming out doing some simple crime, you know, like rob the store. But they ain't killed nobody, you know. They might not even had a weapon. Broke in somebody's house. They need therapy. They need, you know. And see, if they had more training in there, you know, when they come in there, rather than putting them, locking them up, get them into training. Get them to understand, you know, what life is all about. And if they don't want to listen, then let them go on about their business up there, you know. But if they want to have a chance, they can. You know, at least get a chance.
Because I remember, and I know what you're saying is correct, simply because I remember around 1996, 1998, they stopped letting the guys go to college. You know, I knew a guy named Marcelo. Marcelo probably couldn't read his name if you put it on the side of a truck. When he went to penitentiary, he was in there 8 years. He came out with a college degree. I got a buddy named Dana. Dana went in there. He wasn't no dumb guy. He had his act together, and he was in the streets doing crime, but he transitioned. He was transitioning out. He was slowing down and was leaving that life alone, and then he got picked as the wrong person. As a matter of fact, me and Dana crossed each other at the movies. He was leaving out with his girlfriend. I was going in. And then when I left, or was I going, I don't remember how it was, but I know he didn't do the crime they accused him of, was murdering the guy. And he went in and he out now, and he picked up a trade in there. And since he been out, he didn't got married, he had children. So like you said, if you give people opportunity, they won't pick crime. But if you put me in a chaotic situation and now I'm in survival mode, I'm gonna sign up with the greatest survivors, and then I'm gonna pick up their ways.
Oh yeah, ain't no doubt about it. You see, that's how you get all them gangs in prison. You know, rather than have a gang that played it, you know, read the Bible or sing. You know, it was guys that sung, you know, had quartets and stuff like this. You know, positive stuff. They just trying to get this time on over with and stay out of trouble, because every time you get in trouble, you go to a lockdown, your time get extended. But if you got good time, you know, that good time adds up, you know. It make your time shorter, but that bad time make it longer.
Yeah. And I'm familiar with that as well. I got a cousin and a brother. My cousin, God rest his soul, he was murdered after he had an opportunity, got his life together, and he got robbed coming out of the store and murdered. But he was in there with my brother. And I'll never forget, he called me one night. He said, hey, man, he was in Menard State Penitentiary in Marion, Illinois. He said, hey, man, your brother here going crazy. He said, he still want to gangbang. He said, I'm getting away from him. He went in there and told the people so he could separate from my brother. He said, I'm a drug addict. I don't need to be around them. Now, Vincent had never got high in his life. But if you get somebody, like you said, you give somebody the opportunity to get away from it, they will. But if Vincent went in there at age 27, he had a better head on the shoulder at 27. Now my brother, that's a different story. But I definitely understand and identify with what you're saying. If given opportunity, even when doing wrong, if you give somebody the opportunity to do right, they will. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, I went in there and shoot, I was out back at home in 3 months, you know. You get me? And all I did was do what I was supposed to. And when I got through taking that test and everything, they started letting me go outside the gate working, you know. But they couldn't do, you know, because I was trustworthy. You know, they saw me as trustworthy because the tests I took.
That sounds like this place. My friends, you know, I got a lot of friends who've been in and out. I got friends from all walks of life, thank God, so I can know things in life. He says a place called Vandalia here in Illinois. That he say the gate ain't higher than this. He said gate don't even go over your head. He said, but and you can go in and out. He said, but the town people got the right to pop you if you act a fool. So ain't nobody going outside the wall acting no fool.
No. Give a little respect, you know, they gain that respect, you know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of changing going on. Rather than incarceration, you need to give them education.
Amen. Yeah, because like I have a criminal justice degree, and I remember 2 things from my first day of college. The first thing that the professor said, anybody in here who ever get arrested, he said, I don't want anybody in here to get arrested. But if you get arrested, don't say anything. He said the quickest way to go to the penitentiary is when they arrest you, start talking. He said, you have the right to remain silent and keep silent. He said that. And he said, this is the second most important thing you'll learn while you're in this class. And I'm sitting there. He said, when I first got into this profession to educate people, it used to be about crime and rehabilitation. Now it's about crime and punishment to get you to come back.
Yeah,
and that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, they want you to they're making money. Yeah, see, they got these private prisons now and stuff like that, but that's all it is, a money-making machine. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Make them schools rather than prison, you know? Yeah.
And then they filling these kids up with all these drugs while they in school. You're not learning nothing. You're just a zombie sitting there. Because they would, be honest with you, the way I used to cut up in class, I'd have been on them drugs. Well, my mom wouldn't let me get on it, but they'd have tried to put me on them drugs because I couldn't sit still for 5 minutes, but 5 minutes at a time. Because one of the things that it benefited me, but it hurt me at the same time. My mother and my sisters had me reading books earlier than all other kids. I walked into first grade being able to read. So when you're teaching these kids stuff that I learned last year, my sister Phyllis, she remember pen pals? When you have a pen pal? My sister Phyllis had a pen pal. She write that person a letter, they write her one back. She got sick of me asking her to read her letter to me. And she taught me how to read. So when she got through her letter, you read it. And I'm in school, I'm ahead of the kids. My mama had an encyclopedia, so I'm ahead of the kids. So I'm sitting there bored. They'd put me on them drugs. And that's probably what's the problem with a lot of these young people now. I don't know if their parents teaching them stuff, but they probably just bored. And when you're bored, you know, like you say, you snuck out to school and did something else. When you're bored.
Yeah, I was bored. Yeah, exactly. I was bored because I thought I knew everything right then, you know, because I got all A's, you know. So I ain't dumb. I can learn. But see, if I had kept my butt in there and read the book myself, I at least would have learned what the book said, you know.
That's why.
But I lost. And see, God knows I still can't congregate a noun good or a verb or whatever, you know. And you know, I missed that. That's where I really missed. pronouncing words. And see, I just got to keep it in the photo. I had to photograph words after I heard them, you know, but I didn't know how to sound them out and all this kind of stuff. And so I miss that even now, seriously.
And it's funny that you said that about 5th grade. That's where you struggle. My academic problems, just like yours, came in 5th grade. My teacher, I got a picture. As a matter of fact, one of my oldest friends, we've been friends from 1974 up until him passing away 2 weeks ago. And I had a picture of that class, and the teacher passed, and they just put substitute teachers in there. And I'm not gonna blame that on it. It was on me. I mean, the substitute teacher was probably teaching the right stuff, but I was like you. I'm like, man, I thought I had it figured out.
Yeah.
Because in 4th grade, my mama showed me how to write out a check. And she showed me how to write out a check, showed me how to pay the light bill and all that. And she would just hand it to me. You do it. Because she wanted me to learn how to do it. So I'm thinking, by the time I get to 5th grade, I think I'm grown. And they talk about this and that. I'm like, that ain't got nothing to do with paying no bills. I know how to pay bills. And I can't spell nothing to this day.
No.
You know, because that was probably the grade. They was making sure they was teaching you the spelling processes. And I was too cool for school and wasn't paying attention. So when you said that earlier, I was like, yep, that's about when I lost my mind too.
Well, you was about 13. What is that, 13 or something?
No, I was Miss Bullock classes when she taught me how to do all that stuff. So that was 9, 10. 10. 5th grade, 10.
Yeah, that's about it. 10.
And I was like, I got this. Because my mama, she always helped. She that was her thing. You're gonna learn how to do everything you know how to do. So she taught me how to write out a check. She told me what to look for on the bill. This is what you pay. This is what you owe. Blah, blah, blah. And I had to do it and give it to her. She said, okay, it's good. I had to take it to the, I had to learn how to mail it out. After she told me how to do all that. So I'm thinking I'm grown. I know everything. What, like you said, what do you mean X equals 2 equals 5? Like, that ain't got, I ain't seen that on the checkbook. I ain't seen that on no bills. I don't need to know that. And and my granddaddy was good at math. So that's why I'm good at math, because you sitting there playing, he stop you and ask you something and math, and no fingers, no fingers, no writing, figure it out. And you couldn't do nothing else till you figure it out. Bam, and you get it. Like people like, you good at math? No, I'm good. I got a good memory. And you just asked me something my grandfather asked me 25 years ago, and I know it from me.
Yeah.
So that's what helped me.
Yeah. That's all right.
Yeah, he was boy, see, man, that was his thing. Somebody gonna cheat you out your money. What's this? Well, how much is this and this? And what if you take this from it? And you couldn't move until you answered right. You can make 50 guesses, or you can just sit there and do it in your head. Close your eyes.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Yeah. You can do it.
Yep, that's what he said. You can do it. You can do it. And the funny thing, he never called me. My grandfather died when I was 18 years old. He didn't call me by my first name one time. Boy was my name. Hey, boy. And all three of us, me, Mike, and Vincent, was boy. And depending on how he said boy, that's who he was talking to.
Yeah, that's a universal name now. Boy.
Yeah. Boy. Huh? Never said our name. Hey, boy. Ask your question. And you keep moving.
You sound like my granddaddy did.
Yeah, man. But it's funny how these kids are losing. We lose them.
Yeah, we are.
We losing them.
I know the feeling, because I got grandkids and great grandkids and stuff, and so I just be trying to want to give them direction when they won't even take time to get it, you know.
Yeah, it's
I
scary.
can do a lot of things that was smooth their cases out and stuff, you know, whether it's women's or whatever, you know. I've been all over the place in my life, including jail, you know. But I didn't go in there for murder or nothing like that. Just because I love weed, that's all.
Hey, there it is. Hey,
Yeah.
you can love worse things than weed. Trust me. There's a lot of people that love it a lot
Yeah.
worse things than weed.
Well, I done asked the Lord about that, and he ain't never. It look like when I want some, I can find a way to get it, you know.
Hey, hey,
Yeah, he would stop me from getting it. I hope if he didn't want me to have it, because I
hey,
sure do what you say.
and see, that's what a lot of people, and I notice a lot of people got away from the church and got away from God. Yeah,
Mm,
because this internet then told them things that they don't, it's you can tell me part of the truth. And then I'm gonna believe it's the whole truth. And that's what the internet does a lot of the time.
yeah.
And people take that as the whole truth, and that's just not it.
No, it ain't enough personal conversation, you know. You know what I'm saying? Just like me and you sitting up here talking to, I would love to talk to my sons and stuff, just like I'm talking to you, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
for us to carry on a conversation like me and you having, you know, they don't even think about that, you know. And you see, they need to know their history too,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
but they
I can't
don't
speak
take
for
time.
your sons, but I can
Huh?
speak. I can't speak for your sons, but I can tell you this: I would have a good time talking to my mama every once in a while, but I didn't realize how much I actually heard until she was gone. And that's the sad part.
That's
She been
that's
gone.
the sad part about it.
That's the sad
And
part.
see, that's what I was telling you about when I quit my job. That was the best thing I done because I got chance to really understand my parents, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and because we communicated because everywhere I went to sell stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I always made a way if my parents had relatives or
Mm-hmm.
kinfolk there where they could stay and enjoy themselves. And my mama could cook so good, she would have gotten it there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just by her cooking, they want her to cook something for them to eat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then we raised everything, and so
Mm-hmm.
my parents would always bring the groceries with them, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they had fun. I made money, and we came back home. You know, I did my kids, I took my kids and all those doing, especially during the summer times and stuff when they all out of school and stuff. They was all part of our little activity,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But that was the best thing I could have done because God couldn't have blessed me anymore than let me have the time to spend with my mama and daddy to show them how much I appreciated them in my life.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I got the last 2 years of my life, excuse me, of her life, I got a chance to do that. She was
Mm-hmm.
diagnosed with cancer on a Saturday, found out how bad it was on Friday.
Wow.
Wednesday, I signed out of my job and I took care of my mama 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until the minute I'm talking about. To this day, I can tell you the minute, I can tell you the hour, the minute, and the second my mama died. Because I
Yeah.
went into the room with her after taking care of her, and I knew I'm her youngest and child and our only son.
Mm.
And I kind of once we found my mama passed out. She was about to have a stroke. We got her to the hospital, and this for the first time in her life, she started being emotional. So I used to
Mm.
hide. I have a lot of anger inside of me, and I would hide that from my mother. I would never let her see me angry because I knew how she felt about keeping control. So I
Yeah.
hid that. And the first time she ever saw me emotional is when I went into the hospital and I cried and I said, "Hey, I need to be a better son." And she's like, "No, no, you okay?" And I was crying uncontrollably. So my mother thought I was super emotional at this point. So I know the last maybe 6 months of her life, she was worried about me because she would say, she would ask me, she knew the end was coming. I did
Yeah.
too. And I remember her asking me, "Are you okay?" She kept asking me, "Am I okay?" In the last 5 minutes of her life, I walked into her bed, her hospital room because they were about to move her to hospice. And I held her hand. I said, "Hey, I'm gonna be okay." I'm 40 years old at the time. I've been 40 about a month and a half, about 45 days. And I said, "I'm gonna be okay. I don't need you to fight anymore for me. I need you. If you have to let go, let go. I'm gonna be okay." And I walked out the room, and my sister Phyllis, she said, "Go get Brian." And I came back in, and she's sitting up. I said, "Oh, we back in business." In my mind, I'm like, "We back in business." And she stuck out her hand and she said, "Thank you." And then laid down at 11:52 and 38 seconds, she passed away on September 30th, 2010. And I remember the first thing I said was, "It's over." That was the first thought in my head. It's over. So when you say your sons don't listen enough, I wasn't listening either. We hear y'all. First, I'm gonna tell you, we do hear y'all. We hear it, but we're really not, like you said, we're not listening until you hear. Every day when I wake up, I hear something from my mom.
Okay.
And I could tell you from a young man point of view or a man's point of view, we think we got a million tomorrows, and we don't. We think it's another tomorrow coming. It's another tomorrow coming. And that's probably, I'm hoping that's what's going on with them. I'm almost sure that is, because you just got, I talk to them tomorrow. I talk, because that's what I did with my mama until I don't have no more tomorrows. So hopefully you share this with them and they hear that. Because them tomorrow, when you ain't got no more tomorrows, it sucks.
Tell me about it. I definitely miss mine. See my daddy's birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday. Happy heavenly birthday.
Yeah, his birthday tomorrow.
Okay.
He's born on the same day as what the guy that started the Black History Month or something.
Carter G. Woodson. Carter G. Woodson.
Born on the same day.
Okay, you just taught me something, and I know who Carter. I never knew what his birthday was, but now I know something.
Yeah.
So I'm quite sure. Like I'm telling you, I've experienced what you said, your son, because I know my head was hard. It is to this day hard as a brick. You know, like you said when you were younger, thought I knew everything, and I still do. I ain't never wrong. You know. But I know I'm wrong a lot, but I'm walking to it thinking I'm right.
Yeah.
So but I'm sure your sons, huh?
But when you're wrong, if you're willing to listen to logic, and come to the center, that's being smart. When you can talk it out, or you might think you're smarter than me, but we both got different sides and views and everything. And we can't just sit down and talk about it. You can work anything out if you talk about it and take both sides into consideration.
Yeah, and that's something I've people, my friends and family will tell you different. I am willing to listen. I don't mind being wrong. It's one of my favorite things to do is to learn. But what people need to realize is it's the way you present. I'm wrong too. If you throw it in my face, my natural response is to push back. Yeah. Because I know, okay. I ain't gonna say I know. My intention is to never belittle anyone.
Oh yeah.
But I know with the way I speak, some people feel that I think I'm always right. I'm just confident.
Oh yeah. Well, when you listen, you learn how to approach other people's too, because I can meet a person and just by talking, I can tell whether I want to, like I was telling you, you know, we met through the ancestry. And so I ain't know nothing about Brian. And you didn't know nothing about Veautry, you know. But we had a conversation. That's I told you, I said, I like the way you talk, you know. And
Thank
so yeah, and so you know, that was there, you know, because you listen.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Because it just, especially with my elders, and I know I need to get better with people my age. That goes without saying, with my age and younger, but especially with my elders, because I do miss that interaction with my grandparents and my mother more than anything. Because I got a buddy named Joe, and Joe looks up to me as like a big brother kind of figure. And I talked to, you know, and because once I gave him some advice about his children, I say, hey, Joe, I'm gonna show you how your children won't forget you. He was like, man, I need to be there. And, you know, he was overreacting. I say, Joe, you know, when I tell you about my grandfather and my grandmama, he was like, yeah. I say, how old you think my grandparents were when I died? When they died, he said about 35. I say, my grandmama died when I was 7 years old, man. One of my grandmamas died when I was, I say, that's the one I tell you about all the time, because she had that type of impact on my life. I said, if you impact your children, if you get in your children's life, they're not going to forget you.
No.
And he was like, wow, you know, so I don't mind learning. And I really, that's why I really embrace this ancestry thing. And hopefully I've been encouraging people to do this ancestry thing, because I've met some great relatives. And you know, like you, my third cousin, and it's a wonderful situation. And you know, it's not even like we way down the line cousins. We third cousins. That means we close. We just disconnected in regards to family, you know, communicating, but
yeah, we just got sold to different people.
yeah.
Yeah. That's how you got your name too, you know,
Yeah.
Williamson. And you know, because all of them slave, not slave
Yeah.
name, but slave owners' names anyway.
Yeah.
I know Barnesville.
Yeah. And that's what people need to realize. You know, we close. I say this on my program, like I used to do it once a week, but I do it every day now. And I say it on my program all the time. I was like, hey, the difference in, like, because you know, they try to get us to hate the Caribbean folks. They try to get us to hate the people from the continent. And I literally say, the difference in you and somebody in the Caribbean is this. That's the difference in you and them. You might have been standing next to your brother, and your brother got sent to Jamaica, and you got sent to Florida or Alabama, Mississippi, or Georgia.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Just like black and white, you know. Shut your eyes. What you see. That's how life should be. No blind, you should be blind. That's what colorblind is, you know. You shut your eyes, you don't see nothing. And so how you know who I am if you can't see me, huh? Exactly. But you can know my heart, you know, you can know my soul, you can know my talk, or you know how we communicate, you know, and like that's what you need to do, you know, take that blind, you know, just take that color away and be blind. And you know, things will be a lot better in life. Because I know I got a blind friend. And this boy can get the ugliest women you want to see. I said, Robert, I said, do you know who you know how that girl look? He said, I don't care. I can't see her. As long as she treat me right, I'm okay, you know.
But you know what? The world probably would be better if we was all blind.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, I'm talking not physically blind now. You know that, but you know,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah.
talking about, you know, we can look at each other as blind. You know, we be
Mhm.
all right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, man, because they think, and that's the funny thing, you got this group hating that group hating this group, and then I'm not gonna lie, it's been times that I haven't participated in it. I have, I'm not gonna lie. But then, like you say, if you look at it from like me and you got connected on science, and if you're gonna look at it from a scientific perspective, if everybody started off on that one continent and you move north into Europe and God made your hair straight to protect your neck and your nose smaller so your brain won't freeze and different aspects all throughout the world.
Oh
If
yeah.
if it started there, white folks is our grandchildren, Africans' grandchildren, and everybody else migrated from Africa. So if that's the case, you only looking crazy at your cousin.
Yeah. Well, see, civilization started right there, in
Yep.
Africa.
Mhm.
That's where life civilization started. As far
Mhm.
as human, God created the earth there. I mean,
Yes.
not the yeah, He created the earth there. Right? Where
Mm-hmm.
is that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just we allow other people to come in and tell us what we should and shouldn't like, which is crazy in itself,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
just all the way crazy. But we keep falling for the same foolish trick, the same nonsense, and this is
Yeah.
why we are lost today.
Yeah. That fake news is something else. But you're supposed
That
to
fake
be able
news is
to,
something else.
yeah, you need to be able to discern for yourself, what is
Mm-hmm.
right, what is wrong. And then you don't have the Bible as your teacher.
Mm-hmm.
You not gonna automatically go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That
Tell
is
you
the
all.
biggest problem. You think you know everything. You don't think you need to study anything. And then, you find out the more you realize that you don't know nothing, the smarter you'll find yourself being.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the truth.
Yeah. Right about that.
Mhm. Well, you know what? I done had you on here for 2 hours.
It's been that long.
It's been
I
2 hours.
guess
It's
so.
been
Yeah.
2 hours,
Yeah,
8 minutes.
Well, ain't
And you
nothing.
know what? You are welcome to come back anytime. We're going to stay in contact first and foremost. But
Well,
anytime you got something on your mind,
okay.
please, please, please say, hey, Brian, let's go on today.
Okay.
I got to be at work at 11 p.m. I get home about 8. We can figure it out between those times any day you want.
Okay.
And thank you for your time. It was worth a bar gold to me. Trust me.
Well,
Thank
it's,
you,
it's
thank
been
you,
a pleasure.
thank you
It's been a
for your
pleasure,
time.
brother. I appreciate this.
Now, anytime.
All
Don't stay on. I'm gonna end it, and then we'll talk afterwards. I want to thank everybody for tapping in. I need y'all. Y'all already know what I need y'all to do. Hit that subscribe, hit that thumbs up button, and then I want to thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Me and my cousin want to thank y'all for listening, and I have a guy named Luther coming on. He has his own organization called Won't He Do It. Me and Luther gonna be on here having conversation within the next few days, and then we'll continue this thing moving. Thank you guys for tapping in. I will see y'all on air tomorrow, and then me and Luther will be on another time. Thank y'all. And just a second, cuz.
Okay.
And it is necessary for those people who rule over us and who rule over African people the world over, if those people are to stay in power, they must destroy our ability to love each other in a healthy sort of way. This is why